ahead, and it's 7:02, and I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is the meeting of the Community Preservation Committee, and it's Wednesday, November 3rd, at 7 o'clock at night. I'm going to read the remote participation blurb. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, in accordance with Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, public bodies otherwise governed by the OML are temporarily relieved from requiring that meetings be held in public places, open and physically accessible to the public, so long as measures are taken to ensure public access to the body's deliberations through adequate alternative means. This meeting will be live on Zoom. The public may participate remotely by joining Zoom. It's meeting ID number 840-0877-2826, or by calling 929-205-6099. For additional information about remote participation, please contact Carly Antonellis, Assistant Town Manager, at atm@ayer.ma.us, or dial 978-772-8220, extension 100, prior to the meeting. Thank you all for being here. I really do appreciate everybody here. Even though next time we'll figure out something during the town meetings. Never mind. Let me go ahead and asking to approve the agenda. There's only one thing I did miss on the agenda, and that's correspondence. So I'd like to, if anybody doesn't have any concerns, I'd like to add that I'll be discussing correspondence on the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Make a motion, we approve the agenda as amended.
Seconded.
Okay, I got Julie seconded and Barry, because we're on Zoom, so we need to make sure that we state our names. Barry giving the motion and Julie seconding. All in favor, Julie?
Aye.
Jess?
Aye.
Barry?
Aye.
Beth? You can shake your head.
Sorry, good evening, everyone. Sudmeyer, yes.
All right, Jason?
Aye.
All right, and Colleen is just coming in.
Are we voting on the minutes?
On the agenda.
Oh, on the agenda. Aye.
Yeah. Hi. All right, yeah, I just added correspondence to the agenda. So all in, and chair says aye, so it's unanimous. All right, thank you. The next is approval of the minutes for October 6, 2021. I did not see anything on here that needed to be edited, corrected, adjusted, whatever. Does anybody else have any feedback?
I thought they looked good and I will make a motion to approve.
All right, that's Beth.
Second, Colleen.
All right, let's, all in favor? Well, let's see, let's go through the roll. Julie?
Aye.
Jess?
Aye.
Barry?
I abstain, I wasn't here.
Okay. Beth?
Yes.
Colleen?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
All right, and chair says aye, so one abstention and the rest have agreed. Awesome, Jess, we'd be lost without you. These are great minutes. So thank you very much. It's like, oh, all right, correspondence. It's been a busy week. I don't know, Sandy Pond School update. I don't know if you all know, I mean, again, going back over time, when they filed for the other grants from Massachusetts MPPF, what ended up happening is they wanted to go ahead and make sure that all documents were finalized and such. And one of the documents that they were looking for is the transition from Sandy Pond School Association volunteer group to the incorporated group. And that title, which I believe was done in 1956, they have not been able to locate any of a hard copy for the grant. So right now, the grant has been put on hold, and they have to, what they've ended up doing is look for additional funds for legal fees to help pay for legal counsel to go to land, I believe it's land court, to file for that document. They know that it is in existence somewhere. They finally were able to go into the archives, I believe, October 1st, and check to see whether or not it's in there. And Tom Gibbons, the lawyer, could not locate it. So that's why they got to go through land court, and they believe that it's going to cost a little bit. But it's been, I'm going to say they've been moving forward on it, and they really don't see any type of issue. I've spoken with Robert with regards to CPA funds, and we're all set because we really don't need the deed restriction until the funds have been, I'm going to say, pretty much used and the work has been done. They were looking for the MPPF funds to help take care of, I believe, the roof. So additional things for the roof. So with that, again, we'll be okay, because by the time that the work is completed and everything, they should have everything done within land court. It's just going to take like about a year to, I believe, to go through everything. But Robert's saying that we could still move forward with the CPA funds because of the time span and everything. I wanted to bring you guys up to date. Are there any questions that you want me to bring back, or anything that you guys want to discuss on that?
How long do they think it's gonna take to get through land court or whatever they have to go through
Yeah.
to get resolved?
I think they, I think Irv is thinking like at least a couple months. It may take, like say, up to 6 months. So, just because of the backlog and everything else due to the pandemic, I think that's really what's going to throw more of the monkey wrench into everything. Does that make, all right? That's why, again, Robert thinks that we'll be okay of getting that legal document. And it was something that they never thought that they would need. They thought that, again, it was written somewhere, which it is, but they don't have a copy of it. And poor Irv went through all his boxes of stuff and everything, and nowhere to be found. So, and all it is just, excuse me, pretty much handing over from the volunteers to an incorporation for the Sandy Pond School Association. So, anything else? Okay, so that was that. The next is, bear with me. What happens when I move things around? I received an email from I gather it's the town of Watertown, with regards to, and Barry, I think I CC'd you. I was going to CC George on this, but what ended up happening is they're questioning the historic properties inventory that we're doing, because there is a Department of Revenue guideline. And Jess, I'll state this for you. It's IGR, India Golf Romeo, 2019-14. And if you go ahead and review that, it does say questionable of whether or not the inventory can be funded through the historical category. They're saying that if you're going to be hiring somebody, it pretty much has got to go through an administrative expense, and administration can't be more than 5% of the monies that you receive. Beth, I'm just asking whether or not, have you heard anything about this type of questions in Sudbury?
No, they've done a number of them as well in Sudbury and I'm pretty sure they were a separate town meeting vote, not utilizing administrative funds, but I can go back and double check.
Okay.
If you don't mind sending the communication, just, forwarding that might be helpful. And why is Watertown asking?
Because the town shot them down for doing this type of project and putting it into the historical category. And like as the conversation that I had with two of the members of the historical commission there is that, this inventory is a preservation of properties within the town.
Right.
So I really couldn't understand why you've got the discrepancy. I did not get in touch with Stuart from the coalition. If anything, I quickly sent it on to Robert to be sure that town council approves the
Right.
warrant articles and such. So like I pretty much told them, I'm not the lawyer, so I don't know all these little nooks and cranny guidelines. And many other towns, when I look through the database,
Mhm.
has it coming out of the historical committee, category and such. So it's being done that way. But again, I think it's because everybody thinks the same thing of it's a historical preservation. So I'm bringing this up because later on, and Samantha's here, later on, we're going to be doing additional historical preservation of documents. So with that, I just want to make sure that we're on the right path.
Or
So,
what happens in our case where we've already hired the consultant.
Yeah, just keep going. Don't worry about it.
yes, I'm gonna
Yeah.
say just keep going. And we'll, if anything happens afterwards, then just going forward, maybe, we'll see what we can go ahead and do. But
Yeah.
I unless it really comes to a head, I don't see anything just because it's been standard operating, procedures. And there's a good argument about preservation. So,
It's really, I think that the question is not that whether it's because it's not preservation in the sense of preserving something tangible and specific. It's more of a planning document. But
correct.
I think there's certainly precedent associated with things like open space and recreation plans, housing production plans, all of these planning tools that get funded through the category, not just through administrative funds. So I think that's the parallel that really makes sense to think about, is that, this is a planning tool for historic preservation purposes.
Correct,
And we do it with housing production, we do it with open space protection. So why not do it? And we're doing it for the community preservation plan update as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Hmm.
Barry?
No, I'll have to try to look at that document myself, and I haven't read it. That's the first I had heard, other than I did see the Watertown email, and I wasn't sure where they were coming from at first, so.
Mhm. Yeah, because they got shot down by their council, and I'm just trying to, again, trying to help them. They reached out. I could go and blame Joanne Christoph because she ended up giving them my name to say, if you've got questions, go ahead, ask Janet. So I had a nice meeting with them on Monday, which was again, it's great when you can talk to another committee member. And one thing that I'm going to be sending an email to Stuart is they used to have, Beth, I remember I went to a training session with you years ago, and they used to have, again, those types of gatherings where other CPC committee members could meet and talk about this type of stuff. So I think that would be great if we could start that up again when we're able to meet again in person and such. So again, it was nice doing a Zoom meeting with them. So, but Barry went ahead and, or I should say George went and sent the agreement from Stacy Spies, who's going to be working on the historical inventory list. And the properties and everything, and broken it all down in the different phases. I'll forward that on to you guys. All right, so that if you wanted to have that. So, okay. I see you, Jess.
Yep.
Okay. We'll have two Jesses in here.
Okay.
Trying to get.
Hmm.
Wait.
Recording in progress.
Tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right, that's good. So that, again, that has been the correspondence that I've had. So I wanted to make sure you guys were aware that we took, we've even been noticed all the way out in Watertown. So anything else that people might have for any other type of correspondence that you might have received, that anybody else might have received? No?
Nope.
Okay. All right, moving on for current businesses, the fall town meeting update. Again, I want to say thank you very much, everybody, for what you've done to get this all squared away and such. I think it turned out well. Both articles passed. We've got the 21,000 for Jen, and we do have the 300,000 for the athletic field for the high school area. The question now is the memo of understanding. I had a draft and I had sent it on to Robert. Robert's having town council look at it, but Robert just asked today of when we really would like that developed and done. I'm going ahead and I think it would be something good to have before the project is completed. I think it would be good when the project is up and going. Just want to get you guys feedback of when do you think a memo of understanding for the town folk to be able to know. I mean, again, it's a given, the town owns the property, the town residents can use the property when the school is not using it. So I just like to have something again as a separate document saying that residents can use the property when the school is not using it. When do you think we should have that ready to go?
I think it's really a good idea before any money is expended for the draft at least to be circulated to all parties and that there's really an understanding of implications. In this case, I think there's a really firm understanding on everyone's part about what the commitment is. But just as our standard operating procedure, I would recommend that, once town council reviews drafts, the committee has reviewed drafts, and I mean, I guess it could go to the applicant / recipient, at the same time that the committee is reviewing it or something like that, as long as they understand it's still in draft form. But yeah, I think, just doing it as soon as we can sort of just helps clarify things. And sometimes with the historic or a historic preservation restriction or for housing, affordable housing details, that we really want to make sure are all fine-tuned and understood before any money would be expended. So I know this is a little different, but I think just in terms of a standard operation, it would be nice to do that.
And
All right,
they're not starting construction until around the beginning of April, so there's plenty of time for us to have something before they start work. But I think Beth's right.
mhm.
Yeah.
So pretty
Janet,
much-
can I was over at the school walking, and they currently have a sign on the track that says, for use only with permission from ASRSD. So I think as part of that MOU, it'd be nice if they agreed to put up a sign that is maybe a little more
Friendly?
welcoming, similar to the language that's in the, that was in the agreement, that it would be open when the school is not using it.
Okay. All right. I think I didn't even realize that. And I don't know whether or not, like, there is that fine line of, okay, great, it's a free-for-all that can happen when school's not using it. And this way here, they can sort of control it just in case, again, they don't want it to be a free-for-all. So I'll work on that, with Robert and with the school board, or, the school committee, to see what we can come up with, a good sign that says, yeah, you can do it. And these would be the guidelines, that you can't have more than 1,000 people running on the track or some, I don't know.
And can I ask that maybe, or
Go ahead.
in this group, let me pose that maybe the question is worded a little different, because I'm glad Colleen mentioned the sign. I had forgotten. I do believe that sign is very new. And maybe I'm wrong, but you guys let me know. But I thought that came up more as the track was really starting to fall apart, and as they had the signs on the stadium parts to say, don't even sit here. And so I guess I would ask it are we going to go back to not having that sign in the new field? Because it wasn't a sign that used to be, I mean, I walk a lot of tracks, and those aren't signs that are typical. I thought it had to do with more the disrepair and the fragility of the current system. So I guess I would just ask that maybe we could pose the question to make sure maybe that sign's not going to continue at all, rather than reword it. And then if not, we could at least try to reword it for future use.
Right, that's what I mean. And, possibly the school or the town, I mean, really the town would have use guidelines, you can use this property based on section 1213.5R of the guidelines or whatever.
Right.
They can, have something like that, then at least the town is covered. Because again, the town would be held liable if anything ever happened. So, I'll double check. I think that sounds good. Thank you.
And I do think that it would be okay, to have a sign even that says, paid in part, this facility was paid for in part by the Community Preservation Committee of the town, or CPA funds, the town of Ayer. The public is welcome to use it. However, there are some restrictions or limitations, like, you cannot pole vault without getting previous permission from, so I mean, just, like kind of basic stuff, so that they would have some parameters to say, if you want to use it in a different way from just general walking and field use or something like that, that you just contact them and seek permission to hold the Janice Bresnahan run there, or, something like that you have to coordinate with them, of course.
Right. All right, that makes sense. So I'll take that into consideration, and also to have some sort of draft MOU before any type of monies are expended. I'll go ahead and tell that to Robert, because like I say, he just sent me the email probably a couple hours ago, so. All right, any feedback with regards to fall town meeting? Any? No? All right, I think, like I say, I think it went well. The other one, like I say,
You did a
is,
nice job as usual, Janet.
I know, but again, I still feel bad. But as long as you guys know that, see, even the cat says, I appreciate you guys. It's like, okay, stretch it out. All right, with regards to Jen and the community preservation 5-year plan, they were able to edit it, Beth. I don't know if you noticed it. They got rid of the word production. I had not emailed Jen saying that we have the funds now. I just wanted to get you guys okay. I've got a draft email ready to go. Once I get your okay, then I'm going to contact her and say, okay, great, let's now come up with a schedule of, because we want to try to get it done all within a 6-month period. And we've got, again, I just want to give her the okay, let's start. So is it okay for me to say, let's start?
Yep.
We should probably vote officially, but the only thing I was just wondering, are you specifying that all meetings will be like virtual meetings, or is there, a possibility that we'd be holding some in-person public meetings too?
It's already within their contract on the email, the contract that she sent back to us. that the meetings would be all virtual.
Yep. Okay. I
And-
thought that was the case. It just.
Yeah. Because again, when we asked, we were still in virtual, even though we, stopped and then we're back. So with that, it's already specified in that. So let me hear a motion to be able to contact Jen saying we're ready to go and start doing her work. Can I get a motion? I don't know if that sounded right, but to go ahead and contact Jen. to
Yep. So
start.
I would move that the commission approves the contract and initiation of the project with Jen Goldson.
Second.
All right.
Does
That
that
was-
sound sufficient? Is that good?
Made the motion and Colleen seconded it. All right, so let's go through roll. Julie,
Aye.
Barry,
Aye.
Beth,
Yes.
Colleen,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
and Jess.
I,
And the chair says aye, so it's unanimous. So I'll go ahead and I'll initiate the contact, the contact, as well as we've got the contract being approved. So,
does the contract have to be signed
um,
by us?
you know what? I don't have the copy right here in front of me.
But since we're virtual, I mean, presuming you can sign that on behalf of CPC, right?
Yeah,
Since we voted. Yeah.
It actually might need to be signed by Robert as procurement officer or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
I will check.
But if it needs a CPC sign, you're good to go on our part, I guess.
Thank you. All right. All right, that sounds good. Anything else for current business from anybody else? Well, all right, we're moving right along. Okay, new business. Samantha's been so patient to go ahead and listen to all this and such. We do have.
Interesting.
Well, like I say, we try our best here. We do have a pre-application from the Ayer Library with regards to digitizing the public spirit. I didn't realize the public spirit was around for that long. It's like, oh, so I'll let Samantha take it over. And do I need to share? I know I sent it late. Do you want me? Let's see, hold on. It would help if I get out of full screen. Go ahead, Samantha. I'll let you take over and let me see what I can do here.
So we are looking to digitize our microfilms of the public spirit. We have every issue going back to 1869 up until last Friday's issue, actually. It's now the Neshoba Valley Voice. An issue we are running into is the majority of our film reels are from the mid 70s and they are falling apart. They're scratched and cracked and it is getting difficult to use. With new technologies, these reels can be digitized into a searchable database, at which point, once they're scanned, you'd be able to do keyword searches through these newspapers. So instead of having to go through the reel and stare at every page and go all the way to the end, you could go, hey, I'm looking for Joe Smith's obituary from 1920. And you could type in Joe Smith 1920 and all the instances of his name would show up. So you'd get his obituary, you might get his marriage record too, but so we really are looking to try and preserve this. This is a massive resource. We are the only place that has a complete copy of this newspaper. There's smatterings other places, but we are actually the official archive of this paper. So the Neshoba Valley Voice gives us 2 copies so we can microfilm and archive it for them. So it's a big project for us. It would cost about $150 per reel. I initially asked for just over $4,000 and have this a sort of recurring fee for 5 years. If you have other suggestions, I'm open to that. This was what the original sort of assessment quote was given to us. The company we're looking at is Advantage Preservation. They're sort of the cutting edge of this. A lot of other libraries use it for their newspaper collections. The Leominster Public Library has used it. I believe Sudbury did too. I know Groton has looked into it. I did look into other companies. Their database and end product is just superior and longer lasting, and we will own the website that they put it on. So it is ours forever. They don't own a portion of it. We don't have to give over copyright. It's ours.
Mm-hmm.
So.
That's good. What do you call it? I know that would be one question that Robert would ask, is whether or not you've got any bids from anybody else. So it looks like you pretty much did, but these guys here are the ones that were outstanding. And again, for some of this specialized items, we're able to go ahead and not look at the lowest bidder. You want the one that fits the best, and even with like the fire station picture, their photograph restoration project. We were able to go with somebody that they definitely recommended that could handle all that. So that's good. New England, is it, what's the name of the company again?
Advantage Preservation.
Okay. All right, yeah. We got the.
They're
Mhm.
one of the few that makes basically a smart database. So when they scan it, the program picks up on all the words and stores them, and that's how it will make a keyword search database. A lot of the others would just digitize them, and you'd still have to scroll through them like you do the microfilms currently. So you'd have to sort of weed your way through and hope you could read it.
All right, so it's going to be approximately $4,200 every year for 5 years. Does that sound about right?
Mhm.
Yes.
All right. I mean, my gut feeling is, instead of going to the town for the $41.95 every year, of going ahead and just putting it all together as one single project. What does everybody else feel?
I was gonna ask what the capacity is for them to do, like how many could they do annually?
Looks like 26.
Is that what they've said?
Yeah, it's in the
That-
description.
That was the initial estimate they gave us. I can go back and ask them if they can do more. That was the number we sort of settled on, that they knew they could do comfortably, but they might be able to do more.
Right, because I mean, my initial thought was the same as Janet's, about like not necessarily wanting to have everyone work on this annually. But then I also wonder if we have any concerns about, drawing down the historic category and then tapping into undesignated, or uncategorized funds. And I don't know what our balances are exactly and things like that. So that would be something like if we wanted to put it into 2 pots of money or something like that to allow the historic category to build up a little bit more or something like that. But that was just a thought, and more posing it as a question for others to consider as well. I think it's a great project. I totally, support it. Think it's really important. And for anyone who's worked with microfilms, you definitely, can't even imagine how much easier it would be to be able to do word searches, on an archive. So that's really great. And as you said, Sudbury has done it, and, I think, had really good results with it too.
At our September meeting, I think the historical category was almost $107,000. Beth.
Yeah, and
So-
that will go up again in April or May, whatever, during our Springtown meeting. because we'll get the influx of new funds. I also too, I just remembered I've got to send an email to Lisa because we should get the second and third bump from the state with regards to having the 3%. So that's on my to-do. So I think we have enough money within the historic, and I mean, again, I would rather keep it in the category. But I'll double check, too, with Robert and make sure town council, gives the okay as well, for it to come out of that category. All right, so anything else for,
I would also agree doing it as a 5-year project all at once would be better. Just wondering, given it's be stretched over 5 years, if it should be a little bit more than 20,000 to account for rising costs and unforeseen circumstances, knowing that at the end, when it's done, if there's money left over, it comes back to us regardless. So,
yeah, I was thinking the same
That's
thing.
right.
Yeah, jumping it up to 25,000 for a 5-year project.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
hopefully,
I agree too.
yeah, hopefully they'll contract for the full job at once and lock in a price too, so that would, be feasible. But for proceeding for now, it's fine to estimate, and then we might have a revision before town meeting or something too.
Mhm. Does that make sense, Samantha?
yeah,
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So they have been pretty consistent with their costs anyway, so that's good. Because I've talked to them multiple times, I think over the last 4 years, the timing just has never quite worked out for us. So,
And there was something called the pandemic that happened in between, so. All right. Any other feedback for Samantha?
No, I just think that it's a worthwhile project. It's
Mhm.
probably long overdue, but it's definitely a worthwhile project. And to, get the whole funds up front so they can do the 5-year plan and not come every year. That makes sense. Makes perfect sense.
Mhm. And it's true, I remember going through microfiche and you just.
we have a new machine and it works fantastic, but it takes forever. And we have to maintain it. And one of the really nice things with this is this database will be usable from home. So you don't have to come to the library. If you're doing your own research, you can sit on your couch and look up whatever you're interested in. And I do
Excellent.
have written permission from the newspaper as well. They
Oh,
said we could digitize up until not the current year. So we can't digitize 2021, but we could digitize 2020 if we wanted.
Excellent. All right. And then going forward, I think your description says that, once you catch up with the history, the library will handle going forward for cost.
The thought would be we'd catch up sort of the backlog, and then because during the project we are actually going to gain more reels, we'll take care of those, and then any subsequent ones we get.
So pretty much you'll stop at, say, 2020. I'm sorry.
We should stop right around 2020, and then we will pick up the cost for the last few reels and then any other ones we get going forward. And actually probably what will happen is we'll just send the physical newspapers to the company and we'll no longer microfilm them.
Oh, that'll save money in the long.
Mhm.
Yeah, microfilming is expensive.
Yeah. All right, anything else from the group? All right, so let me go ahead and get a motion to move this to an application phase for that. It's going to be an agreement that the library will go ahead and do for 25,000 for the 5-year plan to digitize Public Spirit from 151 years ago.
So moved.
All right, Beth moved, seconded.
Who seconded? I'll second if nobody else has.
Just seconded. All right, let's take a vote. Julie,
Aye.
Colleen,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
Barry,
I,
Jess,
Aye.
Beth,
Yes.
and the chair says aye. So unanimous. So Samantha, go ahead and do up that application for 25,000 and we'll look forward to, again, it's going to be at Springtown meeting. We need to have a public hearing. So with that, at least we get the application by January so we can have a public hearing sometime in February or March.
Yeah.
All right.
All
Excellent.
right.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Sam.
All right, next on the agenda, I put down Kitty Junction because I know that the Parks and Rec had a presentation, I believe, at the select board meeting. Jason, can you bring us up to date on what's going on?
Yeah, so we kind of have a lot going on there. We bid out the first part of this, which is the remediation and replacement study. We got only 2 responses to that, but actually only 1 real response. So that's from this company called Beta. They
What's it
bid it
called?
out. There's 3. It's called Beta. The company's called
BETA?
Beta. Yeah. So
Okay.
there's 3 parts to this phase, right? So the first part is the testing, the sampling to see what, whatever levels of pollution are there, and then modeling out how to remediate. The second part is coming up with replacement ideas to come up with 3 proposals, 3 different designs for what the new play structure would look like. And then finally, the last part is actually designing it, the final design, and then bidding, helping us bid it out. So our budget with that was 20,000 that we got from town meeting. Unfortunately, this company they could only do the first 2 phases for 20,000. The last phase was about 14,000 additional. What we did last night with the select board, was we had some UDAG funds left over from our building project, which actually we had about $14,800 some odd dollars in UDAG funds that we just hadn't used. We had that set aside for things like furniture, a mower lift, things like that. We're kind of thrifty in the parks department, so we get a lot of secondhand furniture, and we're good with that. We don't need these funds for the building, so we asked the select board to approve moving them over to the junction project. So the total for this first part, and again, this is just the remediation study, the design of a new, and then basically the design of a new structure. Remediation study, the plans to remediate, and then design a new structure is about $34,000. So we've got a contract with Beta now. It's in place. We're going forward. We're meeting with them next week to talk about the timeline. So we want to get a number in front of the town. Well, let me talk about first what kind of the process is going to be. So again, there's the 3 steps, and I sent their proposal to Janet if she wants to distribute to everybody. But the first phase, again, is going to be doing the testing and trying to get, yeah, here we go. So there's scope of services.
And I'm trying to
go to, yeah, I mean, they put together the pretty comprehensive project.
All right, so you want me to go to scope of services?
Yeah, we can just go there. They put in a lot of other stuff too, like how they would do it, but basically the tasks is what we're looking at. So the task is remediation design and cost estimate. So that's the first task. Hopefully we're going to get that done by early December. We'll see. The second task we don't need to read all of this in the interest of time, but then the second task is the sort of design, the proposal stage for the new structure and everything. So in this stage, we're putting together a working group. So it's going to be 2 commissioners. That'll be Sarah Gibbons and myself, Jeff Thomas, Dan Schrawlick from DPW, who put this bid together for us and has been really helpful in getting these. And then we're having 2 people from the community. Actually, Beth is going to be part of it. And we're trying to find another person to help with that. And what we're going to do is work with them in maybe a meeting or 2 to come up with 3 designs to bring to public meetings for input. And then ultimately the park commission will choose the final design. We have to give, in order to get this done next year, I mean, we're sort of tight against it. We're not going to have the final plans and specifications in time for capital to go to spring town meeting like we want, but we've got a good idea working with Dan and the DPW. He's got a number out there of $587,000-ish, about $587,000 is sort of our placeholder number that we're going to put to the capital
How much,
planning committee.
how much, Jason?
Well, so this is the thing. The project he's estimating is going to be about $587,000, and that's going to cover remediation and replacement. Basically, there'll be the deconstruction, the remediation, however that's got to be, and then the replacement structure. So whether we put that all for capital fund and go to town hall, or we get CPC funds, that's the sort of target number that we're working with right now. So I guess the question is for CPC is, how much can you give us? How much do we need to ask in capital, right? And that's what we're working with.
Did the town seem like they would be able to help? I mean, again, 500,000 is going to take a chunk out of the open space, which now has,
Yeah.
Jess, you still have the numbers up from September. It's like 1.1 million, I think.
Yeah,
Is it-
open space is 1.188 million. Undesignated is 162,000. Budgetary reserve is about 579,000.
So state grants would be another thing that we can certainly look at. Because I'm a little confused by this, but I should reach out to the grant coordinator. Because the park, which is Parkland Acquisitions and Renovations for Communities Grant Program, this used to be just available for municipalities that had a population of 35,000 or greater, or if it was a project that had a regional impact, you didn't need to qualify under that population category. But in Sudbury, they've been talking about how that has now changed. And so we could get clarification on that, because this would be a great project for a state grant. And then I even wonder if there's something maybe from DEP, Mass DEP, that we would be eligible for because of the cleanup associated with it. So that, and like the whole being an environmental justice population and things like that, I just feel like there's got to be some opportunities for grants that we can look at a little bit more too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there is. The only issue is the timing. You know, what do we have for time to do that, right? Because we have to put a number, we have to give a number to the capital planning committee. We're going to have to put a number for the warrant for Springtown meeting, and how that timeline goes. I mean, obviously it's flexible right up until the warrant is written, but that's going to come pretty quick, right? So how long these grant, the grant proposal and award timelines go, I don't know. I mean, we could, I guess, Alan Moyne and would be the guy to run that by, right? That's sort of his purview. And
I can see Alan, but also too, Dan as well, because I think,
yeah,
you know, they've written up many a grant. So with that,
So-
I would go ahead and reach out to them.
yeah,
But-
we'll talk about that. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say,
I mean-
Mike. Go ahead.
I don't, the park commission isn't gonna ask you, wasn't planning on asking CPC for the entirety, to fund the entirety of the project. It basically is, I don't really know what the ask is. I don't know if you need us to give you a number that we want, or if you're more comfortable telling us what number, we can budget in. I don't know.
I mean, again, I'm gonna come from my own opinion. This is just me talking that, again, we asked for 3%, knowing that we were gonna have these larger projects of Kitty Junction, as well as the field project and affordable housing. So these were things that, again, we knew that were coming. We will be getting additional funds, again, because of that. And I'm not going to say, yeah, fund the whole thing for sure, but I'm going to throw a number of at least 300,000. I mean, if we can do that for the track, we definitely can do that for Kitty Junction, because that's being used probably more than the track.
Right.
Okay, so I don't think we want to leave it short-sighted. I mean, that's one thing that I know that I've been pushing Jeff, going, let's get moving on it. But what does other people feel?
Yeah, I mean, look, we would have loved to have had a contractor in place in June, right? It just, we put it out to bid. We didn't get any bids. We put it out to bid again, and the pandemic kind of slowed things down last year. Then we put it out to bid again this year. We didn't get any bids. We bid it out again, and we just got these bids in, recently. So it is what it is. We only really received one quality bid, and we're moving as fast as we can with it.
Yeah.
I guess the idea is we don't want to push it off. We want to get started on it next fiscal year, because it's been long enough. And if we continue to wait and continue to push it off, it's just going to get more expensive, and it's going to just keep getting kicked down the road. I mean, it took us forever to do our building. So it's aggressive, but we think we should be able to get it going for fiscal year 2022, right?
Yeah.
Or is it 2023? I don't even know if fiscal year will
2023.
be. Yeah, either way, July 1, be able to initiate contracts and get going on it.
Mhm. Any other feedback from the group?
Yeah, the grant timeline for these park grants, it appears we would be eligible for $400,000, up to $400,000. The deadline for the grant application would be in July. So the timing, doesn't work out well for you. But again, I feel like waiting a year and getting $400,000 from the state, we have an open space and rec plan that's approved now. We worked hard, to be able to get that. And before we know it, it's going to be needing to be updated. So let's like submit some grants and, try and take advantage of our opportunities there. So we can definitely talk about it further. I just think, like, again, we often tell applicants, the highest and best use of the CPA funds is where it can be used for matching, and, being able to secure grants and then use the CPA funds as match money. So, it is a good opportunity, but also competitive too. So, there's no guarantee that we would get it. So, but, we can talk to the grant administrators and see, what they think as well.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. That's on principle. And I understand. Don't rush it. We don't need to rush it just to get it done. We should do it right, even if it takes a bit longer. I totally agree with all of that sentiment. The problem is it's becoming a liability. It's falling apart politically. It's a very touchy subject. People want that. People love that structure. They want that structure, or a better structure, right? It's not I don't know. It's something that it's got to get done, and we can't continue to hold it up.
Yeah, there was,
Um,
somebody was posting on the town's Facebook community page that, oh, we were getting a new park. And I think misunderstanding,
Ernie.
this is the study, yeah, that this is a study phase, not doing it, but there are a lot of comments responding to that of, oh, great, because we really need this. And everything is falling apart and is a danger to children, so.
And look, we can't replace it with the swing set. I mean, we'd get killed. You know, we need to replace it with something substantial, I think.
One question would be to consider 2 tiers of improvements. One for the whole basic remediation and the basic park that exists, and maybe something more ambitious. And then targeting the grant application next July to maybe go for the more ambitious plan, but to at least get started on the basic.
Yeah,
would
and I
that-
also, sorry, go ahead. I also feel that, you know, again, lesson learned from what just happened at Page Hilltop when they pulled out the whole playground and then there was this significant delay and there was nothing there. And now, you know, the construction is just initiating as of yesterday of the new playground. But I think that there's enough space where we could also have, you know, like a small parklet, you know, that gets developed prior to the big remediation happening, if we're going to decide that the new larger structure and playground is going to happen at the same site. You know, that's all I think yet to be evaluated and conceptualized. But if you are going to, you know, do it at the site of the Kitty Junction, then you would have something that gets created adjacent to it or somewhere else that can be utilized during the construction project. And that it's complementary, that it's not an overlap of what you're going to build to replace Kitty Junction, but it's, you know, something that has more of a naturescape, or, you know, like just a bunch of rocks kids can jump on and balance beams made out of logs and tree stumps and, you know, like, you know, all of these kind of, you know, more naturescape type ideas. So, you know, I think there's a lot that could be done to kind of try and do some work incrementally.
Yeah, I think so. And look, we may get to the design phase and to Jess's point, realize that we can't do something grand. We just, you know, the budget won't allow us to, or, you know, the number we're kind of thinking of now is way low, and something, you know, comparable or, you know, super grand is going to be a lot more money, and then that's the case. But you said we have $1.3 million in that fund. Like, what else are we doing with that money if not, you know, spending it on this?
Correct. That, I mean,
Like,
that's
this money's just going to continue to grow, right? Like,
correct.
it's not like that 1.3 is there and it's going to be there only 1.3 for 10 years or whatever. Like, that's going to continue to increase, right?
Right, and that's the reason why, again, why we upped it to the 3%, so that we could put more monies within these buckets for these projects. And I think, you know, going back to like what Jess and Beth are saying, if we go and, I mean, no matter what, we're not going to know really what this is going to entail until this study is completed, right?
Right.
So with that, how long, I mean, I got 2 questions. How long do they think that study is going to take? You know, to go ahead and, you know, yeah, to plan this all out. It's probably going to take, what, at least 6 months?
Probably. And that's a good question. I don't have an answer to it. We have a meeting with the vendor, our kickoff meeting with the vendor next week, where that'll be a lot clearer.
All right, then, all right, so, you know, even if they can get it all done within a 4-month period, supposedly it's going to be a cold winter, not a snowy winter from what I hear. Don't hold me to that, but with that, again, if majority of the funds do come from CPC to build a, you know, either the, you know, another structure while the construction's going on, or, you know, one phase and then have a second phase to increase either the size of the structure and such, and that may be where the grant monies come in. Grant monies can also be used to help refund CPC funds. So it can be a large expenditure that will get reimbursed. That's one of the things that Sandy Pond School Association was going to go ahead and do. So my gut feeling still is, let's, put as much money towards this as possible, knowing that if we do other grants, those grants can either be used for reimbursement or can be used for additional wish lists. Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me, yeah.
Because again, you're right, Jason, this is only going to keep increasing. But again, there's that fine line, just like with any checkbook. It's like, okay, great, we want to make sure that we've got, just in case something big does happen.
Yeah, I don't think we can assume, that it keeps increasing, because any large land acquisition project eliminates all of it in one fell swoop, right? And, we've had a goal of that for a long time, and I realize we haven't had opportunities, but we still hope that someday we will. And yeah, there's certainly a lot of really great projects like this one that we want to be able to support and take advantage of the additional tax contributions that are and state matches that are being made as a result of going up to 3%. So, but yeah, it's not a bottomless pit by any means.
No, and look, I'm not suggesting that we take $1.3 million and do this project and build this giant structure or anything. I don't even anticipate asking CPC to pay for the entire thing. I'm just saying that this is a big project. It's a public project. In the eyes of the public, it's something that needs to get done. There's a lot of support for either fixing this, which is not feasible, or replacing it, right? If we just ignore it or we continue to move it down, it's just going to get worse. It's got to get done sooner rather than later. Yes, we're late. We should have done it 5 years ago. We didn't. It is what it is. We are where we are, and we can't really hold it up any longer. So, I mean, hopefully we'll get a firmer number, and we'll see where we go from there. I mean, I don't know.
If we went for 300,000, and then the capital planning was going to next spring was considering allotting the rest, that doesn't preclude us from still applying for a grant that could be, if it was secured, could be used instead of the capital grant funds, right? So that would still be doing what you want, Beth, which is using the CPC funds as leverage for a grant.
Right. And I just feel like there's a lot of ways that it could be segmented, like to take advantage of multiple funding sources.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd rather the grant replace the capital fund than the CPC fund. I mean, we've already paid this money, the CPC money.
Right.
Capital funds are future, right? We're going to pay twice. So we'll work on it. I'm not saying that I'm not resistant to the grants. I'm not trying to give that impression that we're not even going to try for them. We don't want to hold the process up, and we want to make sure that there is funding in place if we don't have time or we don't get awarded any grants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I say, what can end up happening too is that grant money can be used to reimburse should CPC, CPA funds be larger, than an amount larger than 300,000. Then if all of a sudden that grant comes in and it can go ahead and reimburse some of it. So there's a win-win that way as well. So it doesn't hold up a project.
So just let me know what you need from us. Like I said, I'll have a clear timeline, hopefully next week. So if you need an application, you need the park department to fill out an application or anything like
I
that.
think
Just,
you have to fill out an application. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect we wouldn't, but whatever you need from us.
think it'd be good to put this on the agenda to go ahead and hear what's gonna be happening on December meeting. That'd be December 1st. So how about if we plan on that? And I know we've got to talk a little bit about December 1st meeting for timeline possibly, or for time, when we start our meeting. But I think this would be good to move forward, because by that time you should be able to hear back from Beta, the company, of what the prices might be, correct?
Yeah. Data has only given us finite amount of meetings. So I don't know. I think it'd be good at some point for you to hear from them maybe. But maybe this December we can have Dan and Jeff come to the CPC meeting.
Yeah, I don't think we need
Talk about
Beta.
it.
Yeah, I think Jeff and Dan would be sufficient enough.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Janet, are you thinking like that in December, and then maybe January a pre-application, and then February would be application, and then we'd do public hearing?
Correct.
So you'd have to think of it in terms of working back from Springtown meeting, Jason.
Right.
Okay, so I think
So
it'd be good.
So we're gonna do a public hearing, I guess, for the plan. No, we won't have the final design. We'd have the number there. So, okay, no, I'm just thinking out loud. That makes sense.
Yeah, because really the final plan has to go through all the iterations from the focus group as well as those public hearings, and saying, okay, great, this is what the feedback that we've received from the town. All that should be ready for at least, again, I believe Springtown meetings in April. So you're looking at March for everything to be all finalized. Yeah, because it's April, right? And I'm now trying to guess that we have the election after town meeting, not before. So, or is, yeah,
Yeah.
because town meeting's usually in May.
Yeah, it's changed. Yeah.
So with that, yeah, so, again, I believe if you have everything, let's see what this is, November, December, January, February, March, April. Again, it still goes back to the 5 months that they're going to have to, take time to do the testing, do all the feedback and everything else, and then work with the focus group and such. So, yeah, I think we'd be okay for Springtown meeting.
Well, and also to keep in mind, this wouldn't be funding the entire project. So I'm not concerned with having precise numbers from the project, because we know it will be in excess of 300,000. So, there can be some uncertainty about that. That shouldn't affect our timeline of putting that forward.
And I still want the team to, think about even more than 300,000. Again, I just threw that one out there because of the field, but will this really be more? I love rounding numbers. If you're looking at 580,000, all right, say it's like 600,000. Trying to fund even more than half. So again, I'm looking at it as being the primary funding source. And if grants do come in, it can also be reimbursed, especially if the one that Beth was talking about, up to 400,000. I mean, if there's 300,000 coming in from that state grant or whatever it was called, again, that can go back into the CPC budget, so.
Right.
I mean, am I off base of thinking that this can be more than 300,000?
No, I think I'd be interested to hear, Jason, as you bring this back to the parks people, if that doesn't feel like a sufficient enough number, I do think that we could consider, in my opinion, more than that.
Kind of losing you there.
I know. Colleen pretty much said we can consider more than that. Going back to.
I was skeptical about that number, but that's what they were comfortable with. So I don't know.
Mhm. All right. Like I say, let's get, more of a number. Let's get a little more idea of a timeline and such. Let's plan on having Dan and Jeff at the December meeting so that we can discuss it. And with that, I will have more idea of the second and third phase monies coming in. Hopefully that is something that will bump up those numbers even more. And Beth, if there's any type of information that you have with regards to some of these grants, if you can share that, I'll go ahead and I'll share the proposal as well with everybody so that they can see. It got me nervous when I'm looking at the picture in the front of the proposal, and I was looking at it earlier today, that it doesn't look anything like J Junction, and it's just a standard Photoshop picture at the front going, wait a minute, we're South Street. We don't have a South Street. So, but it was funny. Never mind.
So I just wanted to get clarification. Why do we want them to come back in December? I mean, I feel like we're just waiting for more information and we're not really going to have it.
Well, I mean, it would be to get that more information in December.
What more information would
Like
be available?
From Jeff and Dan, and I think Jason said you're going to have more ideas, more info on timelines next week.
But I mean, aren't we just going to anticipate that there's an application and the application will have more information, or what?
Yeah.
I'm just
No, that's okay. That's all right. That's, I mean, it's
kind of
really- it's a
trying
committee.
to consider everyone's time.
Yeah.
I mean, unless the group doesn't see any other additional questions, but if Jason can go ahead and, again, get the application. I mean, that with some timeline and possible dollar amounts, then we don't need Jeff and Dan. If Jason, you feel comfortable enough to,
But the
Is it-
application
Yeah,
doesn't
if I have
need to
it.
be in until spring sometime, right? So I'm just,
Well, no, actually over the winter, because to start the application process, because then we have to have a meeting that votes to approve it, to move forward to a public hearing, and then have the public hearing. So we're still in winter for that.
see, because we'll need to have the public hearing sometime in March/April. And they'll be having their public hearings during the winter for being the focus group and moving on.
Also, starting it earlier, given in January and February, although if we're meeting remotely, it doesn't matter if we have a snowstorm, so never mind.
well, only power outages and
Unless we
things
lose
like
power.
that.
Mhm.
You never know.
Which was a big issue for people just last week,
Yeah,
right? You
Yep.
know, lots of lacks of quorums for those Zoom meetings last week.
yeah. But we probably don't want to, unless we have to, go to having the public hearing on the same month as the town
No,
meeting.
no.
So we'd want to have those public hearings by March.
Mhm.
So if you think about it, that actually
Yeah.
only gives us 4 meetings between from now and then. So
But yeah, but I think that whenever they have the information
I think
is
you're,
when they should come back, not,
Yeah.
To say next month, but
so Jason, that puts the ball in your court. To
Okay.
put together a pre-application and application and,
But you definitely
Yeah,
know that
so that by January, you have to have the pre-application, by February, the application, and I mean, it's all gonna work out.
it does. Yeah, it does. But if you need, help with anything, like I say, just let us know. And we'll see what we can do. Again, Beth, if you know of those grants, it would be nice to forward them on to Jason, even though I would imagine Dan is aware of most of them, because they've gone ahead and have had all the different ones, even for the dog park and such like that. I forget what the name of the foundation was for that, but, you know, so that there are opportunities. And again, we definitely want this to move forward. So Jason, make sure that the Parks Commissioners know that we do want to help out as much as we can. So I gather
I
from the
appreciate it.
yeah, the team here, it's a thumbs up. Let's do what we can and make sure that we can be used as leverage or whatever. So, but I like that idea of having a little park on the side while the construction's going on. I do like that. Because I didn't realize that,
Be able to do something.
yeah, but I didn't know that they were taking down Page Hilltop's playground. It's like all of a sudden, bang, that showed up on social media. And it's like, when did that happen? There's just so much construction going on that poor bear doesn't know where to go. So, all right. So again, we'll get more information anyways at the December meeting. And reach out, Jason.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll go ahead and I'll send the request, the proposal to everybody right after the meeting. So, okay.
It's very exciting. So nice to reach this point. So it'll be a really good development.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay. All right, guys. We're running longer. Anything else for new business? All right. Quick committee reports. Housing, I'm going to say the Housing Authority. We are looking for a resident to become a temporary member because we had one of our commissioners pass away, Kathleen O'Sullivan. So she was our resident commissioner. So we're looking at finding out what they want us to do to get a replacement individual until we have another election. So that's pretty much one of the items that we discussed. That was that for housing. Planning?
Yep, we had the fields start coming to us, the high school or districts fields, I don't know, athletic fields, whatever. They're starting a discussion with us, but those plans will come through. And then we've been working primarily on 99 Fitchburg Road and did a site walk with them this past week.
What's going on at 99?
That's the 40B, isn't it?
I thought that was
No,
95.
that's not. No,
It
never
is
mind.
propane.
Propane.
Oh, the propane, okay.
I'm not gonna say the company, Energy North, I think.
Okay.
They're expanding, and so we were there. It was actually really interesting because it's right off of 2A when you're out there, kind of near Splash, the car thing. And it creates like a 5-way intersection out that way. So it was really more of a safety. The fire chief and the police chief were there and just kind of getting a grasp of how the flow of those trucks and the increase of trucks are going to happen. So it was interesting. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Jess?
Well, we had our fertilizer use bylaw pass, and we'll see whether it survives the Attorney General. Otherwise, we're just continuing our review of projects as normal. So,
All right. Colleen?
The Affordable Housing Trust is working in conjunction with the Affordable Housing Committee on a rental assistance program. So we're meeting on Monday to go over a draft of the guidelines. So we hope to get that finalized so that we can launch a rental assistance program using the CPC money that we funded. And then I think also the plan will be to come back to CPC for some additional funds, I think in the spring.
That's right. I know that I have a meeting
Springtime meeting.
for springtime.
I think that's the plan for Springtown meeting.
So
So
is-
I just heard all the dates. I'll bring them to the committee on Monday.
Yeah,
Public hearing in March, Application February, pre-application January.
So that wouldn't be coming back to us in spring. That would be coming back to us in winter.
Yeah, in the winter. But we hope to get the program launched with the money that we have, fund 5 families, with rental assistance for a year with the current funds before we ask for more money. So, but we hoped that it will launch in January, and that'll be around when we come with the pre-application.
One of the things that I've got too for the committee is I'm meeting with Barbara Tierney, the town treasurer, with regards to the tax title lien properties that are available, on how Habitat for Humanity was able to pick up some property. So I've got an appointment with her on Thursday to go over some of these properties, because right now, again, it's 40 of them, but probably, 1 or 2 of them would be interesting. So we'll see. It's like, okay.
Is the town also looking at those for the senior center location, community center location?
I don't know that. Again, from what I understand, they still want to do some sort of site test on West Main Street, just to see on how bad it is, and such. So that's my last conversation with down on town meeting, town hall. That was like about a month ago, but they were still looking. So we'll see.
But you're meeting with Barbara Tierney for, what is it again?
They're called tax title liens, because people haven't paid their property taxes.
Okay.
Okay, so I gather that's how the property over on Central Ave was acquired, because they didn't pay taxes on it, and I don't know how long it goes back. I've got to find out more. So, all right. Anything else with regards to Parks and Rec, Jason? Testing 1, 2, 3. Anything else, Jason, on Parks and Rec?
No, I'm sorry. Somebody was distracting me in my house. Nope, nothing else in park. I do have a bunch of stones still in my front yard if anybody wants any more giant stones for their garden.
You should put it around the tree there. Just shift them around the tree. It's like, oh, we'll give you some help on that. All right,
I'll have to come take a look.
hey,
Please.
Lori Sable and I took some, so it's like, oh. But Beth, anything else with regards to open space?
Nothing new to report.
All right.
I guess just that the Wild and Scenic Grant rounds this for the second annual Wild and Scenic Grants will be opening up sometime in the coming months. So stay tuned and be thinking about, possible small grant projects that could be funded through those resources.
Excellent. All right. And Barry, welcome back again.
As you know, I've been out for a while, but the only thing that I know that's going on right now is just the phase 1 of the inventory resource survey that Stacy Spies is doing. And I believe that's supposed to be complete. Her phase 1 should be completed on November 18th. And then we'll, Historical will take a look at it, and then we'll send it off to Mass Historic, and they'll give their approval. And I mean, of course, in the meantime, she'll start with the phase 2, but if Mass Historic has any comments, we'll work with those. But it's the only thing off the top of my head that I know is going. I'm not completely up to date, but I'm getting there.
All right. Hey, one step at a time, gently. All right. Now that sounds good. All right, everybody. I don't think there's anything else that we want to cover, or all set. Can I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.